I'm just going to show you how you do them. The easiest one to do is stamping. This is a good setup for a printing area. You need a couple of brushes, a palette with some paint on it, foam roller if you have one, rubber roller if you have one, but not necessary. So for stamping, you just need to put some paint out onto the palette, smooth it out fairly evenly, and this is a simple stamping technique. So you get whatever plant or vegetable you're going to use. This is the bottom of a bok choy or a pak choy. You dip it in to the paint, make sure it's got some coverage, and then you basically stamp. So this works well with a variety of plants and vegetables. I've got a lime here. Really simple technique. You can do this with toddlers up to all age groups. So you're basically just transferring an image. Onions work really nicely because they've got a lovely pattern. This is a little bit of cabbage that's a bit too yucky to eat. We'll have a look what sort of pattern this comes up with. So I'm just making sure that I've got the paint or the ink over most of the surface. So really simple form of printing, direct stamping. These have all been done with the stamping technique. These are the bok choys and the pak choys, just onto a painted canvas background. Works out really effectively. This one has got a printing of a monstera leaf in the background with a little stencil print. A really easy technique to do, particularly with kids, is to get a potato and just carve into it. So you can see here I'm just using a bamboo skewer and I'm basically just carving in the line, and that line will come up white on the paper and the solid area left there of the potato will show up as black. So we'll just do a print of that one and see how it looks. Again, stamping technique. So you can see basically how the print's going to be. So that's a great way. You can do detailed designs, you can experiment with that. I'm going to show you a slightly more complex printing technique now. Again, you just use a leaf, some sort of plant, but this one you need to have either a roller or a paintbrush. So you can see here I'm rolling to get that paint coating the roller evenly. My big tip is to use something like a phone book to roll out the prints and flip over the page each time, and that way you're not going to end up with a mess. So leaf down on the surface, basically just roll the paint onto the surface of the leaf, and then we're going to flip it over and transfer it onto the paper. So you place it where you want. Another tip is to put another piece of paper on top, and then you can do one of two things here. You can see how I'm patting, so I can feel where that leaf is and I'm rubbing to make sure that that paint transfers onto the paper. Or if you have a hard rubber roller, you can roll it, but quite easy to do just with your hands and often more effective. So we'll take that one off, lift off the leaf and see what's there. I'm not going to roll where I've done that one because the paint will get on the back of the leaf, it'll come over to here and your printing area will get really messy. So again, roll And you'll see when I lift this up, the negative prints underneath actually look quite interesting too, and you can use them as well. So you've got a rough look of the leaves there. But place it down on the surface, page on top. You can hear the stem of that fern crunching under the roller, and that's why sometimes it's just more effective to use your hands to press it down. And then you don't need any equipment at all. So you've got the fern leaf there. Now, if you're going to do something more delicate, like a flower, I wouldn't actually roll this with the roller because it will crush it. So you'd use your paintbrush and paint onto the surface of the leaves or the petals. And then place it down. Again with this, I'm not going to put the paper on the background because I will crush that stem there. So it means my fingers are going to get a bit dirty, and I would need to wash my hands in between the next print if I didn't want to get black paint everywhere. So this flower should be durable enough to get quite a few prints from it, between 10 and 20, depending on how carefully you handle it. These are two artworks that have been done with that technique. So you can see here there's been jacaranda leaves printed on top of words. So you can really choose your background mediums with some collaging on top. This one here, it's got a fern leaf coming up here and just little daisies done in a different colour. So you can do really effective artworks using that technique.